After 17 years of marriage, Tenaj and Faustino sold their home in New Orleans and packed up their son and became full-time travelers. We're going to talk all about how that's possible. We're also going to talk about how it's possible to have been married for 20 years when you look like you're in your 20s. Now, I need to know how that works. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I am a year-round house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School, and I help women who need some time to do them, take some time to do them on a budget. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and make sure that you hit that notification bell and you'll be notified when I post a new video. So welcome. And welcome to you, Tenaj and Faustino.
Thank you. Thank you. So nice to be here. Nice to be talking with you today.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I have a lot of people who ask me questions about traveling with somebody else. And I'm like, child, I don't know. So I had to bring in some experts.
I totally understand.
You guys, how did this happen? So how did you go from, parents and homeowners in New Orleans to full-time travelers?
Well, Faustino and I, of course, we've been married for such a long time. And throughout our marriage, we have done extensive traveling. So we traveled a lot. When we were working, we tried to take at least 3 vacations per year. Mm-hmm. One just by ourselves, one with the kids, and then maybe one with friends. But it had gotten to a point where those 3 vacations just wasn't enough. We were feeling way more drained with our everyday life than we had ever anticipated. Mm-hmm. And we just needed an out. We needed an out. And we know that we love traveling. So we figured we're our happiest when we travel. So why not just do it full time? Yeah, and we were watching a lot of YouTubers, and we were trying to basically just figure out how it's done. And one day we decided to just sit down, put all our bills down on the table and kind of figure out where we were at that time. When we realized how much we owed and how long it would take for us to actually do it, then we just decided to go ahead and quit the rat race and quit our job, sell our home, and we just did it.
Do you remember how long the prep time took?
It took about 2 years.
It took about 2 years to pay off our debt, things like that. We basically stopped partying. We stopped doing, I usually tell people we stopped keeping up with the Joneses. We stopped doing all the extra things that we do to make ourselves feel happy, trying to show off, I guess.
Yeah. Because you had traveled outside of the U.S. enough, you knew that, you could have a good lifestyle somewhere else.
Definitely.
But you were going to have to sacrifice some of the lifestyle back in the U.S. for a little while.
Yes, definitely. Some of the lifestyle that we had been accustomed to over the years. I mean, we were throwing parties and we had the nicest cars. I mean, which we like to give those things to ourselves because we work so hard. Yeah. But we were realizing that those things were not making us. It wasn't making us happy.
Right. You're only happy for maybe 6 months. Well, as soon as you get something new, you're happy for 6 months, and then you want something else.
Yeah.
So we were constantly chasing happiness by buying things. And eventually, you're spending more money every 6 months to make yourself happy.
And it really wasn't making us happy.
That sounds really familiar. I was just on Twitter today and somebody was talking about designer purses. And I was like, I remember when all I did was study designer purses. I want this purse, this purse, this purse. I sold them purses. I sold those purses. I think all of my purses together got me maybe like 3 weeks of travel, out of it. But when I went home and I had a Target bag, which I still have. And my girlfriends were so used to me having like designer purses. They were like, oh, that's really pretty. I'm like, Target. $29.
They're so used to seeing you with the designer purses anyway that they probably couldn't even tell the difference.
No. And so then you're like, well, why am I spending so much money on this thing?
Exactly.
So it's not giving me any more joy than that $29 purse.
Exactly.
Right. It took a while, I guess, as you grow and grow older. I guess you just like, I don't think I need those things anymore. That I guess you when you're young and in your teenage years, you crave those things because you don't have money. But I guess once you get it, it's like, okay,
now I've
already have it, and
What else is there?
That's right. Well, the what else is there is like the whole world. You guys are touring the whole world. Right. I thought even I had no idea where you were when I contacted you.
No one has. It's like Waldo, keeping up with Waldo. It's so hard to keep up with us. We totally understand.
And so you're in New Orleans you're back home in New Orleans for a little while.
Yes. Yeah. We'll be here until May. Our next trip is in May, and we're going to do Europe. So we plan on doing Europe for about 3 months, and then we haven't really made any decisions on where we're going to go or what we're going to do after that.
Okay. But you're traveling, it's not just the two of you. You travel with your son. How old is he?
He is 14.
And so I know that when you were in Malaysia, he went to an actual school in Malaysia.
Yes.
How are you handling his education?
Well, yeah, like you said, when he was in Malaysia, he was going to a brick and mortar school. But since we've moved and left Malaysia, we actually found him in online school, and it goes off of the Louisiana curriculum. So every holiday, every test that Louisiana students take, he has to take the exact same test. So we were pretty lucky to find that school online.
Yeah, I know that quite a few states do that. I'm from Delaware. Delaware has online education for K through 12.
K through 12. That's the program.
And I know Colorado. I talked to some people from Colorado too.
Yeah.
So anybody who's watching, if you're curious about it, check out and see if your state has an online program for your kids. And this is included, like you're taxpayers, so this is included. This is not a private school.
No. Not a private school at all. It's included. They actually send us a computer at the beginning of the year. Oh. They sent us a printer, all of his books, everything that he would be reading. They basically sent everything to us through the mail.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so,
yes, that's what they do now.
So it is amazing. Like I said, we were so very lucky to have found this school and this program, and it fits us perfectly, especially with our lifestyle.
Yeah, because you want to be able to bop around at your own pace. Did you have to convince your son to travel? You said he's 14 now?
14.
So when you left home, he was like 11 or 12?
Yeah, he was 11,
What was that conversation like?
There was actually no convincing at all.
It was a mixture. He wanted to leave, but at the same time, he didn't want to go. He didn't want to leave friends, but at the same time, he did want to go and see something different, something new. So it was 50-50, Okay.
Yeah, he's so used to traveling or so used to our yearly vacations that he was anticipating it. Like he was really anxious on trying to find new friends or where we're going to go and what he's going to do when we get there. So it was pretty interesting. It was exciting at the same time.
Okay. And then you also have a grown-up kid too.
We do. We have a son in college. He is 21.
And what did he have to say about it?
Well, that was a different story. No, just kidding. He, along with Daniel is our youngest and James is our oldest. James, along with Daniel, was very excited for our new adventure. He was used to traveling as well, going to different countries every summer. So he was interested in finding out where we were going to land so that he can come and visit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys did you feel like you had any major resistance?
Maybe our parents.
Our parents mainly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it was our parents.
Parents and I guess maybe some close friends, but yeah.
How long did it take your parents to come around?
They're probably still in the process.
Yeah, because they didn't believe us for like a year or two. I mean, we told everyone that we were doing this and we gave them a heads up like at least a year in advance.
They're like, "Oh, you're crazy."
Right?
Tenaj and Faustino.
They just think that it was just one of our kooky ideas. But when it actually came to be, and they're like, okay, and they were still trying to grasp it even as we were gone in Malaysia.
Yeah, so they're still trying to wrap their heads around the fact that we miss a lot of holidays. We've missed maybe 3 Christmases in a row. So that's basically the real, issue. because we're not here for a lot of family time or a lot of family gatherings. But one thing that has definitely helped us since we've been abroad is FaceTime, applications like Facebook, where we're able to talk to our family face to face, and that's basically everyday thing. So that's one of the things that has definitely made it a bit easier to deal with, being so many miles away, because our families are so very close.
Let me see. I house sat straight through from May of one year to May of the next year without seeing my family, but it didn't feel like it, honestly, because
it doesn't feel like it to us because the days just go by so fast. But when you're dealing with your everyday, the time kind of just goes so very slow.
Yeah, and you talk, you see them face to face. You see, even though it's on a screen, you're not getting to hug them, but you see them face to face, and didn't feel like it had been that much time.
Yeah, today's technology allows that. You can be half a world away, but still be inside someone's house. That's why it makes traveling easier now. Because of that, because of technology.
Yeah,
sure does. This is a wonderful time. I'm so glad to be alive now. I'm so glad. Everything is so much easier. Everything. Yeah. And I appreciate you guys' YouTube channel. You guys are sharing information that a lot of people don't share. Like they share the high times, the fun times, and you guys show some of the ups and downs, some of the highs and lows. And I really appreciate that you talk about money.
Oh, thank you.
Because I think that we overestimate what it's going to cost, and what, that's a big barrier to a lot of people, but
it is.
You're traveling on a fraction of what you lived on.
Right, definitely. And the thing about it is that when we first set out to do this, we could not find a lot of YouTubers that were actually giving those hard facts. How much will it cost? How much is rent? I mean, do you have any issues when you go to these different countries? We didn't see a whole lot of that. No. So we decided that not only are we going to record our vacations, because that's basically what it seems like. We're going to record the good times, but we're also going to record the real times as well.
I saw your Malaysia budget. So you were in Malaysia for a full year. Is that right?
Yeah, actually a little over a year, about 14 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I left so I quit my job to travel for a year just on savings before I started house sitting and freelance writing and stuff. And I thought that I was going to spend a bulk of the time in Malaysia, and I got there and that heat and humidity drove me out of there.
It can.
I totally understand. But the thing about us is that we're from New Orleans. So it's very humid down here and it's always hot. So it really wasn't that much of a difference. But I will say that Malaysia sun is something to deal with.
Yes, it does get hot there. It can get hot. But I guess that's why variety comes out at night and at sunset. Everyone usually stays inside
until 6 o'clock.
Yeah. I watched your budget video and you were like, we spent $100 a month on electricity. And I know that seems high, but this is Malaysia. And I was like, you don't even have to explain it to me. I get it.
But it really isn't a lot compared to the States. But I guess in Malaysia, a lot of our Malaysia comments are from Malaysians that are like, oh my God, you spent a lot. I'm like,
so much on
that really
electricity.
Isn't a lot.
Like we were still trying to be comfortable because this was our first home away from home. So we were trying to be as comfortable as possible. And we ran the AC a bit more than, say, our neighbors next door.
Yeah, but, I get it. I understand.
It works out.
As a family of 3, you spent on an average $1,300 a month.
Yes.
That's so impressive. Especially for people who are new to budget travel. Because you hadn't been budget traveling before.
No, this was actually our first time. The only other times that we had traveled had been on vacation. So this was definitely our first time. And we were pretty pleased with the amount that we spent monthly in Malaysia. Yeah. Because we had the best of everything. We had motorbikes. We were right across the street from the beach. I mean, our condo was amazing. It was spectacular. And we were pretty pleased with our budget of what we were able to get for our money.
You paid about $500 a month for your condo. Do you remember how you found it?
We just went online looking for condo units in Malaysia, and then one of those little realtor ads pop up where you email a couple realtors and whoever answers back.
Right.
Yeah, basically one of them answered back, and then we told him what we wanted. He went looking for us. He actually came and picked us up.
Yeah.
And we went driving around with him. We went in the back of his car, and he took us to a couple of condos, and we made a selection a week later.
We liked,
because we actually, after he showed us around, we told him we'll be back in a week or two because we flew to Malaysia, we flew to Thailand and spent about a week house hunting there. And we came back to Malaysia and then met the real estate agent and finalized the deal.
And where in Malaysia were you?
Penang.
Okay.
Batu Ferringhi, which is on Penang Island.
Okay, Penang. I visited Penang. I ate really well there. They're known for food.
Yes, food haven. It definitely is. It reminds us of home so much.
Yes, that's true. It is. It does have like that kind of feel, New Orleans food.
Right.
And you have one of the most genius hacks. I did some scooter renting too, or I did some scooter renting when I traveled around Southeast Asia, and it was really cheap. Most of the time, it was about $10 a day.
Yeah.
You guys just bought a scooter.
Yeah.
Or 2 scooters.
Yeah, we bought 2 scooters. And it actually ended up costing us less to just buy the scooters and return the scooters at the end of our stay in Malaysia. Because like you said, the $10 a day, that definitely adds up. Right. So we were able to get 2 scooters and we enjoyed Penang.
Yeah, I think our first 2 months we rented because we hadn't really settled in yet, and we were just trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But after I think our second month, we were tired of driving down to meeting the guy at his shop and paying him every month. So we're like, you know what?
We're just gonna see how much it is to buy.
Yeah, we went driving around and found a used dealership, and like any other dealership, and the guy found us some nice bikes. I mean, they were great. They were perfect.
They were perfect.
And so then when you're ready to go, you just sold them back to the same man.
We sold them right back to the same guy. And I think we end up spending how much?
Only like $300 because he bought them for like 3/4 of the price. So technically we rented, I guess you can say, for scooters for a whole year for maybe like $300.
Right.
Because he bought them back he serviced them, which I think he only serviced them twice, and so they were maintained fine.
Right, so he knew that there were no problems or no issues with them, and he bought them right back, which was wonderful. He actually told us that when we get ready to leave, he would buy the bikes.
Yeah, he actually told us the moment, like a year before we even sold them back.
Yeah,
he agreed to do it.
It really worked out for us.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. How did you decide on Southeast Asia to begin with?
We were actually looking at House Hunters International. So that used to be our go-to show for Sundays. We would just sit there and look at House Hunters International and think about places that we could possibly want to be. Well, one day, the episode was on Penang. So we got on Google and we started to do some research about the weather and the schools and the food. And we just basically fell in love with Penang from that episode. And after that, we just did research and decided that we'd actually go and take a trip out there. So we took a trip to Penang before we actually moved there. And that's basically how we settled on Penang.
House Hunters is definitely a gateway drug. House Hunters is trouble. But so if you're watching, if House Hunters does that same kind of thing to you, makes you start Googling, be very careful. I'm going to link to Tenaj and Tino's YouTube channel. Be warned, you will be packing your bags and selling your house once you start watching their videos. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Friends. Right, you will be throwing your friends and families the deuces in no time. Trust me, no time.
Yeah, don't say we didn't warn you.
Right, when you find out the price that you can pay to stay in another country compared to what you're paying to stay here, it's a no-brainer. I can be across from the ocean with a beautiful view in an amazing condo for $500. That's unheard of here.
Unheard of.
Right.
Are you two retired, or do you work online, or?
Well, right now we are actually doing online teaching.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can basically do that anywhere we go.
through like Cambly or
Go-Go Kids. We're with Go-Go Kids.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's super popular. Teaching and tutoring online. Usually they're Chinese students.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Teaching and tutoring online is super popular with people who live the digital nomad life because first of all, you're guaranteed your money. They pay you guys every week. Is that how it goes?
They actually pay us every month. So we get paid once a month, like on the 15th of every month, but the money is guaranteed. We've been with Go-Go Kids for over a year now, and we have not had any issues. As long as we have a good internet connection, we are good to go. Mm-hmm. And it definitely works out. It helps out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So being a native English speaker is such a privilege. A lot of the world wants you to help them.
Yes. Speak English.
And so you can do a lot. There are a lot of volunteer opportunities for native English speakers. I've done Workaway, and we all house sit. Because you're a native English speaker, it's just easier to communicate with people. Yes. And tutoring online is super popular.
It is.
It's super popular.
I'll link down in the description to a couple of places or a couple of, I guess they're like apps or businesses that people tutor through. VIP Kid.
Yes, VIP Kids is one. There's the Go-Go Kids. There's Teacher Way.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
And I'm on Cambly. Barely. But but they're all perfect, especially when you're in a place where you're going to live on, if your whole family is going to live on $1,300 for the month. Yes. And they're paying, I think Cambly started me around $10 an hour or something like that. Yeah. So part-time work can support an entire family.
Yes. That's the good thing about those teach online jobs is that you don't need much to live abroad. So it's just almost the right budget.
Yeah.
It's just almost the right budget for you to enjoy living overseas and being able to relax, and still being able to go outside in the middle of the day and enjoy your time and not wait until you're off of work at 5 p.m. and then the sun is set. You could really enjoy the middle of your day.
And you still have an opportunity to bring money in, which is the best part. You can do all that and still bring money in at the same time.
It's a lot of flexibility.
Yes. All right. So I'd like to transition into house sitting. So when it was time for you guys to leave, when you guys were started talking about becoming full-time travelers, it sounded like nobody had to be convinced. You both were all in.
We were on board at the same time. I didn't have to convince him. He didn't have to convince me. We were just together.
Was it the same with house sitting?
Well, it was the same with house sitting. It's just that I was a little more apprehensive.
Skeptical,
I didn't really know we both didn't know. But me, I was just a little bit more apprehensive than Faustino was. And I was thinking, well, maybe does this really work? Or, because I've never known anyone to house sit. Like, we're the first ones that I've ever known to ever even house sit. So we didn't have anything to go back on. Like, oh, I remember such and such did. No, it was just us. So Faustino was more willing to give it a chance at first. But once we both got online and we started to research, now that's our key. We research everything. So once we got online and started to research, we realized that this might really work out for us. Mm-hmm. And then the only thing that we were risking was the initial fee.
The initial, I think it was like $100, $109 to join, but I found the link that, or they were running a Christmas special and they dropped it down to like $89. And I'm like, well, it's $89, and we were scared because it's like $89 and you don't know. So we joined, and sure enough, I think 4 days later we got our first gig in Bangkok.
Yeah, which ended up being like a month-long stay. In Bangkok, and it was over the Christmas and New Year holiday.
Great, that's a perfect time to try to start looking for your first house sit. Start looking around October and get a house sit that's, looking for somebody during that Christmas, New Year's break.
Right.
It's really easy to start then when you don't have any reviews or anything.
Yeah, definitely. We know that there'll be a lot of travelers around that time. So that is definitely the perfect time to try and find a house sit.
And what was it like applying for the house sit as a family. So I've done it as a solo person and they only care about me, right? They only want to, but did they have to talk to both of you? Did they want to talk to your son or?
The very first house sit, actually our son was away in Cuba. Yeah. So it was just Faustino and I. And they, of course, they didn't ask us anything about the family because it was just the two of us. Okay. But we have done many house sits since then, and they just want to know basically how old our son is. Usually we'll do a Skype call to initiate everything, and we'll meet with the owner via Skype. Usually it's just Faustino and I. Our son usually doesn't get on the Skype calls, but we'll give them the information, maybe the things that he likes, and they'll try to pair his personality up with maybe some other kids that are in their neighborhood or something like that. So it's really worked out for us pretty well.
Great. Do you have an idea how many house sits you've done?
We have done about 6 so far. Yeah. We're working on our 7th. Our 7th is coming up in about 3 weeks.
That's wonderful. House sitting changed the game for me. House sitting took me from I would work and save up money and then quit and then travel and then go back to work and save up money and quit and travel. It took me from that cycle to just full-time traveling. Yeah, I have no problem quitting a job.
No, it works. Yeah. It works great. Sometimes you can line them up so that, you have a different one in every city. Or nearby. That way you don't have to always come back home if that's where you're going. But if you line them up just right, it could be done.
Yeah. I house sit in Mexico in a couple of different towns that are really popular with American and Canadian retirees.
Okay.
So once I get to town, I'm booked. I book a house sit, I get there and I can house sit for 6 months straight just by talking to the old people there.
Yeah, so we realized that too. We had a 6-month house stay in Acapulco, and we met so many people that are wanting us to come back for their house sits. So that was amazing.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys are also house sitting because people will now know that it is real.
It's real because we were skeptical. We were skeptical too, but it is real. It does work. People do need their houses and pets and
plants and sometimes Airbnb.
Yeah, sometimes they just want somebody in the house just that, there aren't any bugs or squatters, but it works. House sitting does work and you can travel with it.
And it is legit. Yeah. Cause while I'm out here, become a house sitter. People are like, oh, I don't know. So I'm glad to have proof that it is real.
It's definitely real and it definitely works. It has helped us out tremendously throughout our travels.
For a one-time investment fee, we've already probably stayed over a year and just 6 months alone in Mexico off of $89 application, initial fee. And there's nowhere you can stay for 6 months for $89. Right. Like that right there beats it.
Paid for itself.
Yeah. Even the month in Bangkok just paid for itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I tell people if you do a 3-day house sit in a nice house, you got your money back.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
It's $129 now. They just had a leap day special. They just had 20% off for leap day, but on regular it's now $129 and it's absolutely worth it. If you can commit, if you can look at your calendar and say, I have these 3 days where I want to go to X place and house sit, boom, money worth. You got your money's worth.
Anywhere. And that's the amazing thing about it. It's anywhere.
Yes.
What I want to know is what it's like traveling long-term as a couple. So you guys don't have a way to, when you're at home and you're getting on each other's nerves, somebody can go to work, right? Or you have friends and family, you can go to their house. When you're together and you're traveling long-term, do you feel like is it beneficial to your relationship or is it more stressful on your relationship or both?
I think it could be a little bit of both.
It's both. It's just...
It's beneficial because if there is a problem, we're together. So we have no other thing to do but to work the problem out.
Right.
So that's the beneficial part about it. And usually if we were at home, someone does get to go to work, and then maybe those problems would prolong or be prolonged.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that we're together 24/7, it's like, okay, well, we have to hash this out, because
Right.
I mean, I don't have anybody else to talk to.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely a good way, because, you know, like my wife was saying, you know, you can have issues and you go unresolved because someone's got to go to work, or somebody wants to just leave the house and grab a drink, but the problem is still there. But when you're traveling and it's just you two, then you gotta hammer it out right there and then. You know, you grow closer because then you're stuck in situations where it's just you two in a foreign country, and you have no one else to lean on but yourself. You know,
So you might as well work it out.
That's it. So. Yeah.
And that can also be stressful. That can be a stressful situation too, because you're in a foreign country and you don't have another outlet per se. Like, you don't have your mom or your friend to just go over and talk to. And most of the time, like when we're living together in the condo, it's like that's the only space that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of stressful, because if you're not at the point where you want to work it out at that time, it's kind of forced upon you, because, you know, you're right there. You're in such close proximity.
And long-term travel in itself is kind of stressful. We don't talk about that because everything is a decision.
Yeah.
Like especially when you get someplace new, you don't know where to get coffee. You don't know where to get your clothes washed if you're, taking your stuff to the laundry. Everything is a decision, and your brain just gets tired sometimes.
Right.
And so it's nice to have another person there to help relieve some of that stress and help, to help make some decisions. Sometimes I think about that. I'm like, I wish there was somebody here to tell me where to go eat dinner.
Give me some opinions, Yeah.
As much as I like traveling, as much as I like being in charge of what I want to do, I also wish that there was somebody else in charge of what I'm doing. Sometimes, like, I'm tired of being in charge of everything all the time.
I understand. I totally understand.
Uh-huh. And so you told us that you're in New Orleans, you're going to be around for a little bit, and then you're going to Europe for the summer?
We're going to go to Europe for the summer. This will be our first time in Europe, actually. So what we plan, what we plan on doing is we're going to fly into Barcelona. And the plans right now is to rent a camper van and drive the camper van from Barcelona to Paris, drop it off in Paris, and then continue our tour around Europe, on the train or something like that. So we haven't really meshed all our plans together, but that's kind of a rough draft.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's my dream.
Yeah. Mine too. I'm really big on van life right now. So I'm very interested in exploring that.
Is Daniel going to be with you, or is he staying home for the?
He's actually going to go to Cuba with Faustino's parents.
Yes. Okay. This is summer vacation from, I guess once he's done with school, he stays a little summer vacation with grandparents.
Yeah. Away from here, away from us, no school. So he's going to go that way, and we're going to go that way.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, so make sure that you are following Tenaj and Tino. You are Tenaj_Tino_ on Instagram.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And I'll link to your YouTube channel in the description. So y'all make sure you want to see this trip. This is
see this trip.
You want to see it. This is the trip that's going to push me into the RV life. I'd like to do an RV trip somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to light a fire under me too. I know.
I'm sure.
Do you feel like there's anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to let people know about full-time travel as a family?
It can be done. Full-time travel can be done. You just have to budget and watch what I guess one of the things I also got started on was the minimalism, the minimalist lifestyle. That's another thing that kind of jumped us on the traveling. If you don't need it, then don't get it, Focus that on something else,
Mm-hmm. I'm going to stick this one question in though, Tenaj. Hair. So Black women, hair is always at the top of the list about, these are the reasons I, am skeptical about doing something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your hair like routine or regimen at this point?
Well, let's see. My hair regimen, it's basically all over the place. I am a proud graduate of YouTube Academy. So,
Yes.
so everything that I do to my hair, if it's from curling or dyeing or just highlighting, anything that I do, my first stop is definitely YouTube. So since I've been abroad, I had no clue on how I was going to maintain my hair living anywhere, let alone Malaysia.
Yes.
But that has basically just drove me into kind of studying how to dye and basically how to keep up, how to maintain my hair. So I've just been looking at YouTube, going about it like that, and I have started doing my own hair.
Yes, I would agree that was a lot of the questions when we first started traveling about her hair. But like she said, she's been on the YouTube Academy, and she went from, getting your hair done when we had jobs to she does it herself. And everyone usually asks, "Oh my God, your hair is beautiful. Who does it? And how do you get it done out there?" And like, she just does it herself. And you pretty much just learn off of YouTube. I mean, it's a YouTube world now. You could fix a car. You could do anything just by learning on YouTube, and it could be done.
Yeah, and another thing that I would say is, if you know that you're going to go on a trip, or say if you're going to travel long term like we do, make sure that you stock up on all your hair products that you may need. Get that from the country that you live in. Don't try to go out and find it elsewhere, because you just may not find it. So what I do is I will stack up on everything that I know that I'm going to need for, say, a 6 month to a year period. And I just bring it all with me.
Do
Yeah, I do. Because I have not found any of the hair products that I would use at home. I haven't found those abroad.
No. I'd say it was on our last trip in Colombia. She probably found more in Colombia because it's Afrocentric there, Caribbean Afro. But in Malaysia, I could say that there was zero.
Nowhere in Southeast
Asia.
So you have like a full, like a bag that's dedicated to hair products?
Yes, I have basically.
Tenaj, that is not minimalist. I just want you to know.
Okay, so let me say something about minimalist. Now, Faustino basically has that down pat. Okay. I, on the other hand, am still working on my minimalistic attributes. I'm still working on it. And my bag has gotten smaller. It's gotten much, much smaller. Hasn't it?
It has, but definitely bring your own. But yeah, I'd say bring your own, especially if you go on Southeast Asia. Bring your own.
So y'all are not traveling in carry-on only?
Well, no, not from. No, not from country to country.
No, only because
within the country we'll travel, just with the carry-on. But if we're going somewhere for a long time, we have undercarriage.
Maybe one big one each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I do travel carry-on only. What I do is, I'm a house sitter, and so I'm in a place for usually a long time, and I just use their house stuff. Like, everybody's got olive oil and avocado oil. So I never travel with oil. I travel with a little bit of conditioner, and then I just buy drugstore shampoo and conditioner when I get where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I don't check a bag, and I don't travel with hair products.
Yeah.
But I have had my mom bring me some. So that's another option. Take a little bit and have somebody bring you some when they meet you. Or even I had a lady told me that she had people mail her hair products every like 3 or 4 months.
I could have really done that. I thought about doing that, but I just figured, I would kind of just bring my own thing. Just depend on no one else but me.
Yeah. That way you have it.
Exactly.
I saw your pictures in somewhere, and Faustino had cornrows. Did you do his cornrows?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do this.
Oh, you didn't do that. Okay.
It was in Malaysia.
Yeah, it was in Malaysia. We had we were able to find someone out there that specialized in cornrows, so we were able to get him in there, and Daniel. So
Malaysia was nice. I had a lot of I don't want to use this word, but I guess I'll just use a lot of expats in Malaysia that were able to, you know, service everyone outside of Malaysia. How about that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. When we go places like this, you don't realize how many people like you are there.
Right.
That have skills that can help you, you know, do anything. They can know how to do taxes. They know how to do hair. They know how to do this. And you're like, oh, okay, you're just one of us living over there.
Yeah. Yeah, so it does help, even though you're sometimes going to get away from
Yes.
Help to find a little community.
Is that those people over there have the same mind frame that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like the people here where I guess I'm going to say it like this, where you're trying to get away from. Their mind frame is different from the people that are over there.
That's right.
They're usually more open-minded.
They're more open-minded.
If you're already over there anyway, you're usually more open-minded.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. And so people sometimes feel like when they go, they're going to be alone, but you're not going to be alone.
No.
You can find a tribe of people who are, who you're going to mesh with.
You definitely can. You definitely can. And we have in every country that we've been to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming and talking to us today. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
It's been nice talking with you. Thank you for having us. Thank you. All right. So tell everyone one more time where they can find you, where they can follow you. You can follow us on Instagram at Tenaj_Tino_, and you can find us on Facebook at Tenaj and Tino, and our YouTube page is Tenaj and Tino.
Yes.
All right, you guys, enjoy your time in New Orleans.
Thank you.
And maybe I'll see you somewhere in the world sometime.
I'm sure you will.